Ladies and gentlemen, the academic procession is about to enter the hall. We will be singing the national anthem. The words are on page 11 of the program. Please be upstanding for the academic procession and remain standing for the national anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. With joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
I, Kevin John Skess, Chancellor of the University of Adelaide, Declare open this congregation convened for the purposes of presenting degrees. I'd like to wish a very warm welcome to all our guests, in particular the Honourable John Howard, former Prime Minister of Australia, and the Honourable John Olsen, former Premier of South Australia. To all of our graduating family and loved ones and our graduates, a warm welcome to this afternoon's ceremony. Let me start by acknowledging the Kaurna people, the traditional custodians of the Adelaide Plains and land upon which the university campuses at North Terrace, Waite and Roseworthy are built. It's terrific to see this hall filled once again for the purposes of presenting degrees. Built in 1933 to 1936 from a £50,000 donation from Sir John Langdon, it is a continuing link between our graduates. And speaking of our graduates, my congratulations. Today is a day of pride and satisfaction for you, and no doubt for your family and friends who've been instrumental in your journey to date. It's also a day where the university shares both pride and satisfaction in your achievements. Graduations are often a day of reflection. What you've achieved, perhaps more importantly, the challenges and the opportunities ahead. It is really important to appreciate that we are a very fortunate country, abundant natural resources and a workforce of resilient and resourceful people. Previous generations have laid the platform for our success, and now it's your turn to step up and contribute to local, national and global communities, to create the world that you want to be part of. So today, as you prepare for your graduation, we again wish you the very best for the future, and I look forward to presenting your degrees shortly. But before doing so, I'd invite our Vice-Chancellor, Professor Peter Rathjen, to introduce the candidate for an honorary degree.
Chancellor, it gives me great pleasure to present to you Alexander John Goss Downer. The honorary degree of Doctor of the University, honoris causa, is being awarded to the Honourable Alexander Downer AC in acknowledgement of his exceptionally distinguished service to Australian society and to the university. Mr. Downer was born in Adelaide in 1951. He was educated at Geelong Grammar in Victoria, and while his father Alec was Australian High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, his education continued at Radley College in Oxford. In the early 1970s, he completed a Bachelor of Arts with honours in politics and economics at the University of Newcastle in Tyne. I asked him how did he come to go to a university on the other side of the world. He told me it was an accident, one of those strange circumstances around which lives are built. In 1984, Mr. Downer was elected to Federal Parliament as the Liberal member for the Adelaide Hills-based seat of Mayo. He held this seat until his resignation from Parliament in 2008. During his parliamentary service, Mr. Downer was leader of the Liberal Party and opposition leader from 1994 to 1995. For more than 2 decades, Mr. Downer has dedicated his life to advancing Australia's international relations and foreign policy, with achievements spanning the areas of security, trade and humanitarian aid. Under the leadership of the Honourable John Howard, OM AC, Mr. Downer became Australia's longest-serving Minister for Foreign Affairs. He was Foreign Minister from 1996 to 2007, a remarkable 11 years, 267 days. Over lunch, John Howard told me that this was a time when the positions of Prime Minister, Treasurer and Foreign Minister were kept stable for the entirety of the government. As Foreign Minister, he was at the forefront of Australian foreign policy during times of conflict in the Middle East and global terrorism. He was an active participant and diplomatic force on issues of human rights, climate change, and natural disasters. Following his resignation from Parliament, Mr. Downer was appointed Special Advisor to the United Nations Secretary-General on Cyprus from 2008 to 2014. In 2008, he was also appointed as Visiting Professor of Politics and International Trade here at the University of Adelaide. In conjunction with the University of Adelaide, Mr. Downer established the Sir John Downer Oration in 2012 as a biennial public lecture in honour of his grandfather. Sir John was a notable South Australian, twice elected Premier of South Australia, and in 1901 he became one of the first South Australian senators in the federal parliament. The Downers have contributed much, and I would like to just acknowledge Nikki Downer, Alexander's wife, who I think is something of a South Australian institution. In 2014, Mr. Downer was appointed High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, the same position his father once held in the 60s and the 70s. After finishing his term as High Commissioner, Mr. Downer has joined King's College London as Executive Chairman of the International School of Government. In 2013, he was named a Companion of the Order of Australia for his eminent service to Parliament through the advancement of international relations and foreign policy, particularly in the area of security, trade, and humanitarian aid. Chancellor, I am very pleased and proud to present to you the Honourable Alexander John Goss Downer, Bachelor of Arts Honours in Politics and Economics, Companion of the Order of Australia, for admission to the honorary degree of Doctor of the University, Honoris Causa.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great privilege to introduce today's orator, Mr. Alexander Downer.
Well, Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, graduates, ladies and gentlemen, let me begin by saying that this is a truly great honour for me and for my family as well, and I appreciate enormously the honour that has been bestowed on me today. I want to begin my remarks by congratulating today's graduates on the exciting and valuable achievement that they have done. You can rightly be proud that you've dedicated several years of your lives to learning. Your minds as a result will be broader, your decisions will be wiser, and your understanding of the busy world around you will be all that much deeper. I was honoured myself to, as you heard from the Vice-Chancellor, to have taught as a visiting professor here at this great institution over a six-year period. And I just want to say how much I really enjoyed that experience. I must say, teaching students was an improvement on answering questions in question time in Canberra. And of course, question time in those days was very civilised. Universities, I think, in Australia have maintained a wonderful reputation. We have amongst the greatest universities in the world, and this is certainly one of them. They are great centres of objective and considered research, and I'm aware, of course, of the occasional controversies about freedom of speech, and it was wonderful to see an expression of freedom of speech as I walked in here this afternoon. But, you know, people are sometimes platformed, and there are safe rooms being created so no dissent can ever be heard. But of course we all know, those of us who know the inside of universities, that this is not the rule. This university, as I said rightly, has a reputation of being not just one of the best in this country, but as one of the best in the world. And it is an institution which encourages debate and dissent. Modern South Australia, South Australia in its modern form, after all, is a state which has its roots in dissent. The founders of the state as a modern entity were not the traditional purveyors of the orthodoxy of their era. They were British radicals. They were a disparate group of people united only by their rejection, to a greater or a lesser extent, of the then status quo in Britain. They wanted universal franchise, including the then very radical idea of votes for women, and many of them argued for free trade, believing that protectionism gave privileges to the protected, but imposed costly and regressive burdens on the rest of society. These were people, to use a phrase, who wanted to put power into the hands of ordinary people. The 1832 Great Reform Bill notwithstanding, some radicals decided their best option was to set up what became modern South Australia, and they succeeded. Our Parliament was the first to give women both the right to vote and to stand for Parliament. Our forebears obviously built a strong economy, and our forebears in this state played a central role in uniting Australia as the Commonwealth that it is today. In South Australia and at this university, we produced Nobel Prize winners. I think this university can boast 4 or possibly 5, depending on definition. We've pioneered great breakthroughs in medicine and led the world in developing a lot of different technologies. We were for a long time a state which admired excellence and achievement and outwardly encouraged honest ambition. But of course, with success, as is always the case, comes risk. The greatest risk we face as a state today is complacency. Adelaide is, I think, rightly still one of the 10 most livable cities in the world. There aren't many places with higher living standards, better medical care. Our schools are of global standards. Why would we bother to strive further? I think we need to reflect on this. There is emerging in our society a contempt for achievement and success. There are too many who enjoy tearing down rather than building up. That's dangerous. We should praise the able, the achievers, the creators and the drivers of our society, not engage in the pitiful game of denigrating achievement. Egalitarianism isn't about tearing people down, it's about building them up. We should aspire to being the best and encourage those who work hard to enjoy the rewards of their labour. South Australia must be ambitious to succeed and needs to be a place where excellence is encouraged and rewarded. Of course, it's hard and indeed impossible to become a high achiever unless you really enjoy what you are doing. For those of you who are entering or re-entering the workplace, my advice to you is, to start with, try to find something to do which interests you. In recent years, there's been quite a focus, an understandable focus on salaries and wage packages. Now, it's obviously nice to be well paid, and it's better to be paid a lot than paid a little. But my experience of life is beware. Pecuniary wealth doesn't equate with satisfaction or even happiness. Politicians often make the mistake in believing that society is all about economics. Real satisfaction comes from more than that, not to decry economics, but it comes from more than that. It comes from having a sense of purpose. With purpose comes self-esteem and confidence. Working or even living without purpose is to create a sense of meaninglessness, which brings with it depression and alienation. In past years, people's lives were given meaning by religion. It defined not only the way we lived, but it defined their identity and the purpose of their lives. These days, we all know religion has lost its appeal, at least in Western societies. People are now searching for a sense of identity and purpose. Some have sought to link identity and purpose in gender, race, and sexuality. This is often described as identity politics. It may give some comfort, but it is inherently divisive. Of course, it's not the intention of identity politics to be divisive. Indeed, the intention is to end discrimination, but its result is to salami slice society. The great challenge of our era, particularly not just here, but in Western societies generally, is to give people a greater sense of purpose, to help build a sense of identity which transcends race, gender, and sexuality, and which ensures that each of us enjoys a sense of individual empowerment and self-respect. Some of the answer lies in building a strong sense of broader national identity. Politicians, to be fair, do try to do this by talking about our common values, reflecting on the better side of our history and proclaiming Australia's achievements. Instilling a quiet, even understated sense of national pride without triggering xenophobia does help to strengthen our sense of identity, and I think our leaders need to work on that. There are, of course, do's and don'ts. I do think we should recognise what's good and bad about our history. We need to learn from our mistakes, but judging the decisions of our forebears by the standards of today is unfair. They lived in a very different context from us, and you can't understand the decisions of the past if you can't understand the context in which they were made. But we also need to inspire a disillusioned public that there's a greater purpose to our land than just GDP growth numbers, impressive if I may say so that they may be. So for those of you who are Australians and are graduating today, go forth and make your contribution to making our society a better place, as I'm sure you will. But I also hope those of you, speaking as a former foreign minister, who have come from abroad, will take with you not only happy memories of Adelaide, but carry with you our great affection. So in conclusion, let me say I'm deeply honoured that such a great institution as the University of Adelaide should grant me this honorary doctorate. Thank you.
On behalf of the graduates and their families attending today's ceremony, I would like to thank the Honourable Alexander Downer for his stimulating and inspiring address. We are honoured that you have taken the time to join us on this special day to share with us your thoughts and experiences. Your words of encouragement and advice are greatly appreciated. They remind us that education places upon each of us, an enduring responsibility to make the best possible use of our talents and to contribute to the betterment of society in whatever way we can. Please join me once again thanking the Honourable Alexander Downer.
I will now receive candidates for degrees. I call upon the Vice-Chancellor and President.
Chancellor, I, Professor Peter Rathjen, Vice-Chancellor and President of the University of Adelaide, certify to you and the whole university that the graduates who will be presented to you have all fulfilled the conditions prescribed for admission to the award for which they are so presented.
I, Kevin John Scarce, Chancellor of the University of Adelaide, by virtue of the power committed to me by the University, confirm that each graduate is admitted to the rank and privileges of a holder of the award in the University of Adelaide for which they are so presented. I call upon the head of the School of Education, Professor Faye McCullum, to present the graduates.
Chancellor, I, Head of the School of Education, Professor Faye McCullum, present to you graduates from the School of Education. To the degree of Bachelor of Teaching and also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Savis Frufus. To the degree of Bachelor of Teaching and also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Laura Ann Pardon. To the degree of Bachelor of Teaching and also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Mathematical and Computer Sciences, Duan Zhao. To the degree of Master of Teaching, Angela Alessi. Harrison John Auger. Sarah Jane Campbell. Anthony John Conlon. Melissa Ann Corcoran. Jordan John Della Pietra. Eliza Mary Dixon. Timothy Allen Earl. Elizabeth Ellen Ferry. Bridget Rose Giannini. Helena Ivanchik. David William James Morrow. Ingrid Michelle Serp. Bradley Grant Tucker. Siraya Elizabeth Umapathi Sivam. Jing Wu. Georgia Simone Cientara. And Stephanie Ann Cientara. To the degree of Master of Educational Studies, Michael John Colbung. To the degree of Master of Education, Han Gao. Sophia Nasa Hakimi. Xian Huang. Sijun Lil. Anthony John Patton. Chen Chen Shvier. And Si-Ying Zhou. To the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, for a thesis entitled Music in Malaysian Higher Education, the Relationships Among Personal Environmental Factors and Measured Achievement of Students' Music Performance, Dr. Pei Shin Wu. And for a thesis entitled Vietnamese Catholic Immigrants in Australia and France, a comparative study of their cultural and linguistic adaptation, 2000 to 2005. Dr. Marie Tran Tai Nguyen. Chancellor, this concludes the graduates from the School of Education.
Chancellor, I, Executive Dean of the Faculty of Arts, Professor Jenny Shaw, present to you graduates from the Schools of Humanities and Social Sciences in the Faculty of Arts. To the degree of Bachelor of Social Sciences, Antonia Caitlin Beveridge-Naylor. Chloe Elise Green. Thomas Mark Jackson. And also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Environmental Policy and Management, Bettina Victoria Langer. To the degree of Bachelor of Media, Molly Megan Barker. Simon Andre Biganovsky. Hazel Jane Cameron. Jordan John Carling. Megan Chan. Dian Dian Chen. Sheridan Isabel Clark. Lauren Connolly. Henry Barnden Critchley. Jason Emmanuel Gonçalves da Costa. Karolina Kika Davidowski. Ansel de Koch. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Isabel Tori Evans. And also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Studies, Elizabeth Marjorie Forrest. Gao Shaoxi. Natalie Jane Hamdorf. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Studies, Laura Head. Hui Shuner. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Kathleen Patricia Jackson. Qi Xiaosha. Caitlin Ashley Lang. Hayden Scott Lewis. Li Mengyan. Luke Matriciani. Cindy Kim Nguyen. Mohammed Faiz Shahera Noor Ismail. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Studies, Isabella Rose Palme. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Alexandra Caris Portis. Miles Andreas Quist. Rakamon Sangwansri. Andrew James Showell. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Studies, Melanie Kate Stevens. Jack David Story. Jake Taylor. Kaya Rain Wallace. Wang Xiaohong. Wang Cetai. Claudia Antoinette Watson. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of International Studies, Thomas David Webber. And Chen Haiye. To the degree of Bachelor of Liberal Arts and Sciences, Cheng Honlin. To the degree of Bachelor of Languages, Caitlin Zhu. And Jordan Michael Mitchell. To the degree of Bachelor of International Studies, Emily Mary Armstrong. Alan Barrientos Pino. Christopher Rohan-Durieux Bremner MacDonald. Mikol Eldib Zako. Katerina Fitakidis. Also receiving the Diploma in Languages and the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Elizabeth Diane Gardner. Laura Haddad. Also receiving the Diploma in Languages and the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Corinne Marie Hamdorf. Peter Hervey. Huang Xindi. Patrick Imaisai. Sabina Angelique Dorothy Kelly. Hannah Christine Robinson. Also receiving the Diploma in Languages, Olivia Madison Savas Koopmans. Also receiving the Diploma in Languages, Matthew Douglas Shaw. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Ainsley Kiara Stutchbury. Adam Toran. And Charlotte Isabel Valencic. To the degree of Bachelor of Environmental Policy and Management, Rowan Paul Husker. Samuel Adam Lungershausen. Candice June Nader. Utetai. And Effie Nuridzeti Zulkifli. To the degree of Bachelor of International Development, Kate Eliza Belcher. Katya Anna Bignell-Daly. Megan Phoebe Jean Brandwood. Jethro Catalan. Liana Fraser. Olivia Rose Hill. And Jessica Wakelam. To the degree of Bachelor of Criminology, Esther Alexandra Delicio. And Henry Sims. To the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Rachel Hannah Allen. Holly Kate Arthur. Jack Gerald Barter. Ran Boss. Cassandra Marie Boss. Kate Emily Branson. Emma Francesca Carboni. Chloe Michelle Castle. Catherine Rachel Cholich. Isabella Carmel Drioli Phillips. Also receiving the Diploma in Languages and the degree of Bachelor of Laws with Honours, Kiara Rose Fanning Walsh. Ashley Kate Freeston. Yulbi Hassin. Also receiving the Diploma in Languages, Lauren Haynes. Thomas Michael Hearn Helen. Emma Louise Hayen. Erica Honorio. Michaela Jerusha Ishwa. Katie Jane Journal. Joanne Lorraine Kemp. Michael James Kenner. Kyle Andrew Langston. Li Mangsheng. Elena Lakina. Brooke Elizabeth Marshall. David John Morris. Lian Chen Bin. No Yan Bessie. Eleanor Grace Nolan. Alice Kathleen O'Connell. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, International Business, Emily Nicole Pitt. Holly Jane Rave. Vanessa Sophia Reck. Jacqueline Amy Rocco. Michael Lloyd Rowlands. Rebecca Amy Slimming. Bethany Ann Smith. Isabel Beth Suter. Ethan James Wake. And U Fei Yin. To the degree of Bachelor of Arts Advanced, Lani Derby. Anna Margaret Jakowiak. And also receiving the Diploma in Languages, Rebecca Eve Pearson. To the honours degree of Bachelor of Environmental Policy and Management, Rihanna Patricia Giddens. To the honours degree of Bachelor of Arts, Emma Kuhlman. To the Graduate Diploma in Art History, Norman Domingpe. To the degree of Master of Arts, Translation and Transcultural Communication, Chan Mungru. Yang Chu Wen. And U Tseu. To the degree of Master of Arts, Studies in Art History, Gillian Claire Brown. To the degree of Master of Arts, Curatorial and Museum Studies, Caitlin Elizabeth Ecott James. Kirsty Ann Morey. And Madeline Victoria Stewart-Jones. To the degree of Master of Arts, Applied Linguistics, Kondaka Nassim Ahmed. To the degree of Doctor of Philosophy for a thesis entitled Slavery and the Origins of Louisiana's Prison Industry, 1803 to 1861, Dr. Kelly Ann Birch. For a thesis entitled Contemporary Irish Migration to Australia, Pathways to Permanence, Dr. Fidel Mebreen. For a thesis entitled For the Sentiment, Emotions as Practice in the Development of 18th Century British Abolitionism, Dr. Stefania Kirill. For a thesis entitled Manufacturing the Future, a critical analysis of policy responses to deindustrialisation in South Australia, Dr. Mark Bernard Dean. For a thesis entitled Vietnam to the World, A Magical Connection, Embers of Time, a Novel, and Bridging Disparate Realms and Exegesis, Dr. No To Huang. For a thesis entitled Paul Kelly and George Megalogenes, Media Intellectuals in Australian Politics, Dr. Paul William Kemp. For a thesis entitled Communist Women's Resistance in Occupied Paris, Engagement, Activism and Continuities from the 1930s to 1945, Dr. Amy Victoria Morrison. For a thesis entitled Adapting Communication Conventions, Helping Vulnerable People in Adelaide Learn About Climate Change and Adaptation, Dr. Robert Palmer. For a thesis entitled Following in Scottish Footsteps, the Amalgamation Movement in English and Welsh Banking, 1870 to 1920, Dr. Philip Andrew Ritson. And for a thesis entitled Microfinance Behind Closed Doors, Women and Agency in Rural Nepal, Dr. Conchetta Scaffiello. Chancellor, this concludes the graduates from the Schools of Humanities and Social Sciences in the Faculty of Arts.
Chancellor, I, Director of the Elder Conservatorium of Music, Professor Graham Kerner, present to you graduates from the Elder Conservatorium of Music. To the degree of Bachelor of Music, Sonic Arts, Melissa Jade Lim. To the degree of Bachelor of Music, Music Education and Pedagogy, William Pantelis. To the degree of Bachelor of Music, Classical Performance, Nicholas Declan Bennett. To the honours degree of Bachelor of Music, Music Performance, Classical, Dylan Thomas Henderson. To the degree of Doctor of Philosophy for a thesis entitled Ethnoclassicism in Guitar Chamber Music, Dr. Oliver Fartak Naini. For a thesis entitled Rojak, a study of cultural elements assimilated in selected works of Malaysian contemporary composers, 2001 to 2014, Dr. Pek Jin Gan. For a thesis entitled The Integration of Carnatic Rhythmic Devices into Contemporary Jazz Performance, a Framework for Improvisers, Dr. Lyndon Robert Gray. For a thesis entitled The Realisation of Extended Performance Practices in Selected Works for Piano by Frederick Rzewski, a Portfolio of Recordings and Exegesis, Dr. Ashley Hariba. For a thesis entitled The Symphonies of Ross Edwards, Genesis and Analysis of Symphonies 1 to 5, 1991 to 2005, Dr. Virginia K. Lakeman. And for a thesis entitled Creative Performance and Play, a synthesis of audio, visual and narrative for maximising expressive potentials in gameplay, Dr. Alexander James Tum. Chancellor, this now concludes the presentation of graduates from the Elder Conservatorium of Music and for this ceremony.
I'm very pleased to present to you Anthony John Patton, who was presented this afternoon with a Master of Education degree. Anthony will now give a valedictory address on behalf of the cohort of graduates who were presented with their awards this afternoon.
Hello? Okay. I guess you know what I'm going to say next, and it's thank you. Yeah. Good afternoon. My name is Anthony Patton, and I have the privilege and the honour to speak for just a few minutes about my learning journey through the Adelaide University. But firstly, I'd like to acknowledge and thank the Chancellor, the Honourable Kevin Scarce, the Deputy Chancellor, the Honourable Catherine Branson, QC, and the Vice-Chancellor and President, Professor Peter Rajan. I'd also like to thank all the family and friends who are here to congratulate their loved ones on graduating today. This is my first day in a wheelchair, so I was expecting to be over there. So I've decided I think I'm going to ad-lib this. Yeah, fraught with danger. I am used to working in education, so I am used to derogatory remarks coming from the back, so that's not an issue. Please refrain from throwing things. That's awkward. In front of me now is the most innovative, creative, witty, humorous, cognitively aware people that I know, and of course glamorous. And of course, whenever you have these words in a few sentences, everybody knows you're talking about the Faculty of Arts. The Faculty of Arts are a wonderful, amazing faculty. And I feel very privileged to be a part of that. The Faculty of Arts has also allowed many people to pursue their dreams and to move forward in life. And I am one of those. I am perhaps the personification of inclusivity, because earlier in the year, when my health was compromised, I was not going to unenroll. But due to an amazing personal phone call from Associate Professor Matthew White, who spoke about creative pathways, innovation, the use of technology through videos, discussion boards, to allow me to participate. Actually, not just to participate, but to be a valued member of that learning journey. And for that, I am really grateful. It could be argued, if we are so glamorous and intelligent and witty and humorous, then why did they pick you to come out here? Well, I think the answer is the policies of inclusivity and the allowing of all people to have their moment in the sun. These curriculum embedded within this university is not for shallow participation, but is allow people to flourish. Contemporary pedagogies, contemporary understandings and methodologies. And I have seen this in my coursework and my research during my Masters of Education. I have seen collaboration, critical thinking, uniqueness, personalised learning. I've seen peer-to-peer learning. I've seen individualised learning too, and of course diversity, which underpins this university and my love of it. I have seen creativity, higher order thinking, authentic relationships to learning, relevant learning, and the capacity to help think about how you think. Those metacognitive skills are really enhanced and embedded in all of these understandings. The curriculum has been engaging, it's been definitely rigorous and student-centred. The part about diversity, not just diversity within the students from domestic, which has been diverse and amazing and fantastic, but to be immersed in a culture and an understanding of fantastic international students, where I have had the capacity to listen to perspectives from a different heritage, from a different culture, and from a different social construction. I've been privileged to allow this to be embedded in my understandings and to help me think about how I think. I would also like to speak about earlier in the year when I was given a limited time to live, 5 to 9 days in fact, but I've chosen to ignore that. I haven't got time now, things to do. So for me, I'd just like to say a couple of words about that. Those moments where I was contemplating deep in thought apart from loved ones and family, I did not think about how much money I've made. I did not think about how many countries I should have visited. It is fair to say I had fleeting moments of have I dated enough people, but they were quick. Yeah. The majority of my thoughts were on what have I done? Could I have done more? Have I used the skills that I have innately and now the learned skills from the University of Adelaide and its entrenched understandings? And so what I'd like to say is my 5 to 9 days for you people, hopefully in 100 years' time, when you get to reflect on your lifelong learning journey, you have the capacity to think about what have I done, because we could be agents of change. We have the skills through the embedded learning that we spoke about earlier, and the capacity to go make a difference. And I think it's perhaps not just a thought, it's perhaps even a duty. So So I'd just like to say, on behalf of myself, I'd like to thank the university for allowing these embedded curriculums to come through and help shape me. I'd like to thank the Faculty of Arts, not just for being the visual personification of Oscar Wilde's absolute perfection, well, close, but the capacity to make me feel part of a learning community. And we can go forward and make that community broader with greater understandings. And I think that this world is perhaps an empty canvas, and the Faculty of Arts has the skills, maybe the duty, to go colour it in. Thank you very much.
Well, that's the best plug I've ever heard for arts. Anthony, thank you very much indeed. It's now time to draw our ceremony to a close. But again, can I conclude with my congratulations to all of our new graduates here today. Be proud of what you've worked to achieve and remember those who've supported you to this end. I wish you every success in this very exciting phase of your life and your career. As graduates of the University of Adelaide, you are its alumni and ambassadors. Over the years since the university was established, its alumni have made an enormous contribution to the community, both here and overseas, a community of over 150,000 alumni located in more than 80 countries throughout the world. And you're privileged to join this group, and we hope you do. Could I just acknowledge that universities are much more than lovely buildings. The health of the university can be gauged by its staff, and we're very fortunate here, as I think our graduates would accept, to have terrific staff, terrific professoriate. It is appropriate that we acknowledge their work, and I certainly thank them on behalf of the university. Can I thank Conchetta for her work this afternoon and all those who participated in today's event. I ask the graduates to remain seated, for the rest of us to rise and once again congratulate them on their achievements. With the audience remain standing, with the graduates now rise for the academic recession, I now declare this congregation adjourned.